A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for tuning in on the 6th of the month of August, the year 2026, here at KUTV Primetime News. We have so many stories in store for you just to get you informed. But first, let's get an introduction. Kutv Mungeli is joining us for the sign language interpretation, and we're also live across all of our social media platforms. On YouTube, it's KUTV News Kenya. On X, it's KUTV_Kenya. My name is Ochieng, Cynthia, and let's get started. President William Ruto has directed key government agencies to implement a series of reforms in the private security sector within the next 60 days, placing the Social Health Authority (SHA) at the center of the government's plan to improve the welfare of private security officers. The directive was issued during a historic meeting with thousands of private security personnel at State House, Nairobi.
At a State House engagement with more than 20,000 private security personnel, President William Ruto directed the Ministry of Interior, Health, Labour, the Public Service Commission, the Nairobi County Government and other relevant agencies to implement reforms targeting the private security sector. Among the key directives included the enrollment of private security officers into the Social Health Authority to guarantee access to affordable health care.
By taking an appropriate non-core services, the industry enables our police officers to concentrate on their central responsibility of safeguarding lives and property. The full implementation of the Private Security Regulations 2025 will mark another important step in this journey. The government will provide policy leadership. The authority must enforce standards. The industry leaders must invest in compliance, innovation, and workforce development.
The president also ordered that private security personnel be officially referred to as private security officers, saying the move restores the dignity of the profession. He further called for improved labor standard, professional training and full implementation of the Private Security Regulation Act.
Ile maneno ya watchman ilikuwa ni madharau ya mkoloni. Vile tulimsafirisha mkoloni, nyinyi sasa sio ma watchman. Nyinyi ni private security officers.
Representing the private sector, KEPSA Security Sector Board Chairperson Annette Kimitei welcomed the reforms, saying stronger collaboration between government and industry will improve the welfare, professionalism and recognition of private security officers while strengthening service delivery across the country.
Security inakuja huku nchini, but even if you look, even if you are registering for something, wanaruka S, wanaenda tourism. Is there agriculture without security? Is there a health sector without security? Is there tourism without security? We are left out and we are the last to be paid.
The 60-day implementation deadline now places government institutions and industry stakeholders under pressure to deliver reforms expected to redefine the future of Kenya's private security sector. Brian Uma, KUTV.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has responded to Kitutu Church's South Member of Parliament, that is Anthony Kibagendi, over his remarks accusing him of belittling smaller political parties within the opposition. Speaking while hosting a Subuki, a delegation at his Wamunyoro residence, Gachagua urged opposition leaders to avoid internal conflicts and instead unite behind the goal of unseating President William Ruto in the next year's general election. He said the coalition will agree on one presidential candidate.
With political tensions rising within the opposition coalition, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua responded to Kitutu Church's South Member of Parliament Anthony Kibagendi's claims that he is arrogant and belittling smaller opposition parties.
Hebu nionyeshe wale mnasema tukae pamoja sisi wote, asante sana.
Speaking while hosting delegates from Subukia at his Wamunyoro residence in Nyeri County, Gachagua urged opposition leaders to focus on unseating President William Ruto rather than engaging in internal conflicts.
We want to tell you regarding Gachagua, while we have tremendous respect for you, sisi tunataka tukae kwa meza kama equal partners. We will not allow you to continue intimidating other principles in the opposition. Wewe Rigathi Gachagua, ningependa kukuambia, sisi tayari tulikuwa kwa opposition kabla utoke kwa serikali.
Zote zile ziko one term. Zote ziko one term. Tukae pamoja kwa sababu hata mimi nataka tuweke candidates na vyama mingi ndio tukue na agents ya kutosha ya kuchunga kura. Si ndio?
Rigathi Gachagua also unveiled plans for what he termed as a hyena coalition to unite Mount Kenya political parties backing the one-term movement ahead of the 2027 general elections. He said each party will remain independent, agree on a single presidential candidate, and compete separately for other elective positions while building a stronger opposition alliance.
Tengeneze coalition ya hapa Mlimani ya vyama ya one term. Na kwa sababu tumetukanwa na Duale, tunataka tukubali hiyo jina. Tunataka tuite the Hyena Coalition. Wangapi wanapitisha Hyena Coalition? Sasa my brother JB, please convene all of us hapa Mlimani. Kwanza tutengeneze the Hyena Coalition.
On the other hand, Jubilee Deputy Party Leader Dr. Fred Matiang'i urged opposition leaders to remain united ahead of the 2027 general polls. He called on coalition partners to work as one team, warning against political propaganda aimed at creating divisions. Matiang'i also commended fellow opposition leaders for standing together in pursuit of a common agenda.
Tafadhali tushirikiane na tushikane, tuhakikishe kwamba safari hii tunatembea sisi wote pamoja. Ni wangapi wanakubali tutembee sisi wote pamoja?
Opposition leaders have reaffirmed their commitment to unity, saying they will set aside internal differences and rally behind a single presidential candidate ahead of the 2027 general polls. Vincent Karoli, KUTV.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has appealed to opposition leaders from Mount Kenya region, particularly those allied to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, to rejoin the Kenya Kwanza administration. Speaking in Meru County, Kindiki assured them of political accommodation, including potential cabinet appointments and support for elective seats in 2027. He urged the leaders to return to government, arguing that they still have a place in President William Ruto's team. The DP did not name specific individuals, but appeared to target those who have sided with Rigathi Gachagua. There has been no immediate response from the affected opposition figures.
Hawa ndugu zangu ambao wanatafutia watu wengine ambao walishindwa kazi ati wanawatafutia urais, mimi nataka niwaulize hivi, kule katika ile timu nyingine number 1, kiti ya number 1 imeenda, kiti ya number 2 imeenda, ya number 3 imeenda, sisi tuko number 20 katika listi ya ile pande nyingine, lakini katika hii timu ya William Ruto tuko namba 2. Tuko namba ngapi? Na tuongojei sana, after next year Rais Ruto akipata 2 term, namna hii.
Now, Cabinet Secretary Geoffrey Ruku has publicly urged 3 Mount Kenya East leaders, Justin Muturi, Peter Monya, and Lenny Kivuti, to break ranks with the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Speaking in Tharaka Nithi, Ruku argued that Gachagua no longer values their contribution and risks sidelining them. He called on the trio to instead back Deputy President Kithure Kindiki to consolidate regional votes ahead of the 2027 general election. Ruku accused Gachagua of divisive politics and economic sabotage, insisting that unity behind President William Ruto's administration guarantees better development. The three leaders have not yet responded to the CS remarks.
Na vile vile mimi naomba jameni, wewe nje mbimo tuli, wewe Munya, wewe Rene Kevuti, kunja pande ya Mount Kenya East tufanye kazi pamoja. Kunja mkae chini na Profesa Kithure Kindiki. Profesa Kithure Kindiki hako tayari. He is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Na yuko tayari kufanya kazi na nyinyi. Wacheni kuenda kwa kona ya utaperi ya watu, ya mtu ambaye ako na madharau. Vile alitukana William Ruto, vile alitukana Profesa Kithure Kindiki, ndivyo hata nyinyi atawatukana kila siku.
In other news, the agriculture, health sectors and revenue allocation collection across counties have recorded significant gains during the 2024-2025 financial year. However, according to a report by the Council of Governors, delays in the disbursement of funds from the national government have continued to drive up pending bills and hamper the delivery of essential services, particularly in the health sector.
The Council of Governors report shows that the value of the agriculture and livestock sector rose from 22.4 billion Kenyan shillings in 2024 to 23.2 billion Kenyan shillings in 2025. The overall value of agricultural output also increased from 3.64 trillion Kenyan shillings to 4.07 trillion Kenyan shillings, while the value of coffee production grew from 38.4 billion Kenyan shillings to 42.1 billion Kenyan shillings. In the health sector, the number of licensed health facilities increased from 6,649 in 2024 to 6,740 in 2025, reflecting improved compliance with the licensing requirements and health facility standards. Maternal deaths declined by 6.8% from 2,851 to 2,656, while teenage pregnancies fell by 19.7%. County on-source revenue also recorded a 17% growth, reaching 53.88 billion Kenyan shillings. Despite this improvement, counties continue to struggle with the rising pending bills, a situation attributed to delays in the disbursement of funds from the national government, which has negatively affected the delivery of critical public services. Rajab Juma, KUTV.
Meanwhile, more than 600 squatters in Kiambu County are demanding government intervention after waiting over 3 decades to be settled on land they say was allocated to them by the late former President Daniel Arap Moi. They accuse land cartels and prolonged court battles of delaying justice, prolonging their suffering, with many original beneficiaries dying before receiving the land.
More than 600 members of the Community Forest Squatters Association have appealed to the government to expedite their resettlement on 419 acres of disputed land near Ruiru in Kiambu County. The appeal came after the Thika Environment and Land Court postponed their case for the 3rd time this year, with the matter now set for mention on September 15th following the court recess. Association Chairman Philip Kutv said the delay has denied members justice for over 30 years. Kutv claimed that land cartels and influential individuals have frustrated the process by filing court cases, while some local administrators have allegedly overseen the demolition of homes and destruction of crops.
Na hawa matajiri wametuhangaisha, wazazi wetu wengi wakaenda, sasa tukabaki watoto na wajukuu ambaye sasa ndio tunafuatilia hii shamba. Na tungeomba serikali, sababu inadhibitisho kila kitu, inajua shamba tulipewa na ikadhibitishwa na kamati ya mbunge tumepewa. Ungeomba serikali
Other
ingilie
squatters
kati.
expressed concerns over their fate, noting that their parents were buried on the land that has now been grabbed by rich individuals. They appeal to the government to see to it that they are not denied their rights.
We need a place to stay and vile the same land ni pale ambapo wazazi wetu waliweza kuzikwa, and hatuwezi enda mbali na wazazi wetu. The spirit ya wazazi wetu iko kwa hiyo shamba. So kama mimi siwezi enda mbali na hilo shamba, tunaomba serikali walio wakuu katika serikali na the Ministry of Land na vile president aweze kuingilia kati ili sisi the squatters, sisi ambao wazazi wetu walipewa lile shamba, tuweze kubenefit kutoka na lile shamba.
Kusema ukweli, sisi tumesubukana sana na hii shamba. Tumekuta wazazi wetu wakisubukana, wengi wao hawako. Kuna watu ambao hata wamekufa tu, kunakuwa na msoso, unakuta hata hao vijana wetu wanakufa, wanachapwa. Na hili shamba kuna watu ambao wameingia, hatujui wameingiaje, si hatujuagi, unakuta tu mtu amejenga.
The group is now calling for an expedited hearing and implementation of the resettlement program, saying justice delayed has become justice denied. Women human rights defenders in Mombasa are demanding urgent reforms within Kenya's law enforcement agencies following the rising numbers of death in police custody and alleged enforced disappearance. Addressing the media at Tononoka Social Hall, the activists called for justice, accountability and independent investigations. Women human rights defenders in Mombasa County have condemned the increasing number of deaths in police custody and alleged enforced disappearances, describing the trend as a threat to justice and the rule of law. The activists expressed solidarity with families of victims of custodial deaths, demanding accountability for the deaths of their children. SHE Rises Executive Director Salma Ahmed urged the Directorate of Criminal Investigation and Oversight Agencies to expedite investigations and ensure officers found responsible are prosecuted.
We are losing so many of our children in different ways. So we want wale wote ambao wanastahiki, wale wote ambao wako na uwezo wa kuchukulia hatua, hawa mapolisi ambao wanaweza kufanya maovu kama haya, wachukue hatua ya haraka iwezekanavyo, na uchunguzi katika idara ya upelelezi pia ifanye ya vile vifo vote ambavyo vimetokea, including install CCTV in the police cells ili mambo kama haya yakitokea kuna ushahidi wa kupeleka kotini. Human rights advocate Hamed said Kenyans should be free to participate in national affairs without fear, warning that rising cases of alleged abductions and custodial deaths were eroding public trust in state institutions.
Tunaomba government ingilieni katika hii. Our able president, ni kilio kina mama wanalia. Sisi tunalea watoto wetu kwa matumaini ya kuja kutusaidia. Leo tunalia watoto wetu ikifika dakika ambao wanafika hadhi ya sasa kuja kutuangalia sisi, wanauliwa. Je, tuko katika hali gani sisi wazazi? Joma of Amazing Group for Persons with Disabilities accused police of selective justice, saying ordinary citizens often bear the brunt of abuse, and urged security authorities to uphold the rights and dignity of every Kenyan.
Mtu wa mama mboga akishikwa anatoka kama mjukuu kwa sela amekufa. While our politicians wakishikwa wanatoka salama. And remember, the same taxpayers money that mama mboga anatoa ndio inalipa huyu au waheshimiwa na pia inalipa watu wa mama mboga. It's not fair. Ustruggle, usomeshe mtoto, alafu mwishowe badala the police want protect unaenda kuzika. Na wewe kama askari ama wewe kama nani mwenye yani the people who are being involved kukuwa watoto wa watu. Kwani nyinyi hamna utu? The activists now want independent investigations, justice for affected families and comprehensive police reforms, insisting that accountability is essential to restoring public confidence in the country's justice system. Milka Thoya.
Now, moving on, youth-led National Restoration Movement Party has opted to remove nomination fees for candidates, noting that the issue of nomination fee is one of the factors that causes conflict within parties. The party is now moving to recruit more members at the grassroots across the country ahead of the next general elections.
After a delegates meeting at St. Vincent in Kisii Town, the national chairman for the newly formed National Restoration Movement, Roger Sonyancha, talked about their party focusing mainly on fighting for the less fortunate and added that their party will move from county to county, popularizing itself in an attempt to urge eligible citizens to join.
Kuna mipango ama mikakati kabambe ya kuweka viongozi kuanzia kiti ya urais, kiti ya governor, senator, women rep, MP mpaka MCA, na tunahimiza wa Kenya mahali penye wako wote wajiunge na sisi. Tutakuja kila county na sera yetu ni rahisi. Tunataka hao viongozi wote wamekuwa kwa uongozi, muda wao imefika, watoke waende nyumbani.
Speaking during the same meeting, Precious Wanjiru, the National Secretary General for the National Restoration Movement, said that the party will major on making a suitable path for the country towards fresh leadership through not only integrity, but also through accountability.
In the recent years or past years, we have been having hardship politics where they test the resilience of our communities. But here as NRM, we are choosing to give all Kenyans a path of fresh leadership through integrity and accountability.
Judith Mungare, an executive national member, said that the newly formed party offers opportunity and will accommodate members from various categories, urging people to turn in large numbers to register as members.
Wa candidate wetu tunaenda huko nje, tunafanya utafiti yetu. Tunajua wewe ndio uko popular kwa hii ward, tunakupea ticket. Na ukisapewa hakuna kurudia ingine.
The County Secretary General for the party, Nyatichi Mogire, noted that nominations fees are a major cause of conflicts in other parties, adding that NRM candidates will be picked through independent popularity polls.
Yule mtu mwenye atakuwa popular kwa polls, huyo ndo tutapea ticket. Hiyo inazuia kukuwa na mvurutano na kuvurugana katika chama.
As we approach the highly anticipated 2027 general elections, parties are coming up with strategies to ensure that they gain popularity. The only question right now is how will this move affect the policies regarding nomination fees in other political parties. Edward Nyamo. Okay.
Now, after that story, we're taking a very short commercial break. We'll be back with more stories.
So be it. We were never friends in the first place.
Naona tumeenda mbali sana. Moyo na mtoto wa Dr. Lumumba akikuja huku Sayoni.
You're joking, right? I love the way you are talking to the Pandora's box. So now you have a shot. So now he has a shot.
Miti miti, panda panda, miti miti. Our planet's future is in our hands. However, there is a threat to the brightness of this tomorrow. On Earth Check, we share the challenges, the solutions, and the hope.
I would call this a very momentous day, a very critical day.
Every episode, every story, every step we take creates a ripple. Join me, the environmentalist Emmanuel Kutosi, on KUTV every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and be part of Earth Check. Welcome.
Welcome back. The Siaya County Assembly has rejected two cabinet nominees, George Odhiambo Nyingiro for Finance and Economic Planning and Grace Agola for Education, Youth Affairs, Gender and Social Services, that are submitted by Governor James Orengo after the Appointments Committee ruled that the nominations breached the County Assembly Approvals Act. The committee says the governor resubmitted nominees who had previously been rejected without meeting the legal requirements, forcing the approval processes to be halted.
Siaya Governor James Orengo has received a new political setback after the county assembly rejected 2 of his cabinet nominees, George Odhiambo for finance and economic planning and Grace Agola for education, youth affairs, gender and social services, finding the governor had breached the law by resubmitting nominees who had been rejected.
Section 10 says, 10.1, that when a nomination of a candidate is rejected by the county assembly, the appointing authority shall submit to the county assembly the name of another candidate, and the procedure for approval specified in this act shall apply accordingly.
Okendo told the nominees the committee was not faulting them personally, but the appointing authority. He said Governor Orengo failed to provide evidence showing that the circumstances which led to their earlier rejection had changed, making the nomination unlawful.
You're also alive to the fact that the obligations in the act are bestowed on the appointing authority and not you. So we feel we only subjected to this, but we have the duty to do this. So before we engage you, knowing that we already engaged you, we have your documentation, your submissions, everything else. We now have to look at the law on your nomination.
On the other hand, Grace Agola defended her nomination, saying her teaching certificate was destroyed in a fire and that she had already sought replacement document from the Teacher Service Commission. Meanwhile, finance nominee George Nyiringo declined to address the committee.
Given time, I can even go to Migori Teachers College, and I believe they have the records because the TSC number and all those informations, we got them before we left the college. You know, there are certain times that you've done something and you think that you've moved forward so that you may not follow up. But I know everything that I lost, perhaps the posting and all that, because they were being done through the college. I can get them through the teachers.
The Appointments Committee is now expected to table its report before the County Assembly, where members will debate and make a final decision on the nomination. Yvonne Shirisha, KUTV.
Former freedom fighters are once again demanding compensation from both the Kenyan and British governments, saying thousands of families continue to suffer decades after the colonial era. Through the Matigari Welfare Association, they are seeking 550 trillion shillings, arguing that the funds would address historical injustices, land loss and economic hardships.
During a meeting of the Matigari Welfare Association at Uringo grounds in Nyeri town, freedom fighters renewed their call for over atrocities suffered during the colonial era. Officials stating how families of former freedom fighters have waited for years without receiving compensation, despite the sacrifice made during Kenya's struggle for independence.
So many things that was destroyed by the British colonial government, that was 1952, 53, 54, they should be asked, will be paid up to even 300 million, even 250 million. It goes according to what you have claimed from the British government. We have forms that we feel showing what one is demanding from the British government.
The association says it represents about 1.2 million members whose families continue to face poverty linked to the effects of colonial emergency. Officials are urging the Kenyan and British governments to conclude the compensation process before the end of August.
1.2 million. We have our record showing that. And all the British government is promising to give us is about 550 trillion Kenya shillings. So some of us should be getting about the youth about 20 million, and the aged ones about 70 million.
The leaders also say many former freedom fighters were left landless, injured and economically disadvantaged after the 1952 colonial emergency. They appealed for government support to help beneficiaries acquire land, improve their livelihoods and restore dignity to affected members.
Tunadai serikali yetu itupatie mashamba pahali ambapo tunaweza kuwa tukilima, kwa maana watu wetu, wengine wetu tunakufa, tunasikwa kwa barabara. Kwa hivyo sisi ndio harisi wa Maumau ambao wanadai fidia ya wananchi wetu. Sisi ndio halali maana tuna certificate.
The association has also called on the government to crack down on individuals allegedly posing as former freedom fighters to seek compensation benefits, saying any future process should ensure only genuine beneficiaries receive the support.
Na watu ambao wanadai ati wao ni wana Maumau, lakini wao ni Maumau Bonoko. Maumau ambao sio halali, maana wao ni watoto wa Maumau. Wanadai pesa wakisema ati wao ndio halisi. Tumesema serikali iwakomeshe.
With the renewed call now on the table, the association says it will continue pushing for compensation while urging the government to ensure any future process benefits only genuine freedom fighters and their families. Petra Faith, KUTV.
Speaker of the National Assembly Moses Wetangula and sugarcane farmers have backed the government's sugar sector reforms, citing the Sugar Act as key to reviving the industry. They called for tighter import controls and sustained stakeholder consultations to safeguard farmers' livelihoods.
The government's ongoing sugar sector reforms have received a boost following a high-level meeting in Nairobi between National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and leaders of the Kenya National Federation of Sugarcane Farmers aimed at supporting the new sector regulations. During the meeting, Moses Wetangula backed the newly enacted sugar sector regulations, which provide a framework for reform. He urged relevant authorities to address uncontrolled sugar imports, emphasizing that protecting the industry is key to providing farmers' welfare and strengthening the sector.
Law is as it is as we passed it. What I want you to do, gentlemen, I didn't hear you mention. What is also choking the revamped sugar mills is reckless importation of sugar. Yes, I mentioned it. And you, if you are the apex body, you must spiral back to the farmer. Yeah. If the mill is milling and selling, the farmer will be paid. Yes.
Kenya National Federation of Sugarcane Farmers Secretary General Stephen Walube stated the importance of enforcing the new regulations and stressed that the full and prompt implementation of the outlined policies is critical to restoring confidence and stability within the sugar industry.
Nzoia iko na Naitiri na West Kenya. West Kenya wanalipwa, farmers wanalipwa within 7 days. Naitiri wanalipwa within 7 days. Lakini farmers ya Nzoia paka kuanzia mwezi jana walilipa tu wakafikia ile tarehe 11 mwezi jana paka saa hii.
At the same time, leaders called for stronger recognition of farmers' representative bodies, urging stakeholders to work together for the sector's success. They noted the reforms within the sugar sector are aimed at boosting financial sustainability across commodities value chains.
Should be taken seriously. We don't, you know, there are some small organizations there, but let all of them join correct. And then two, we make sure it is gazetted.
Yes. Must protect jealously and guard the money from the Sugar Development Levy. Issue of Crops Amendment Bill, Honorable Speaker, I had spoken to you before. Please stop that bill. Let it not move to any destination until we are okay.
Additionally, farmers describe the Sugar Act as one of the most progressive measures for the sector, saying the law ensures equitable benefits for farmers, particularly through levies directed towards supporting sugar production and infrastructure.
Kwa na Sugar Act kama hii ambayo to us, especially at farmers with disabilities, we want it implemented. Na ikikuwa implemented, it encourage all farmers equally, especially with the levies ambazo zinafaa ziende kwa farmers kusupport sugarcane production na infrastructure. Na pia the 5% ambayo inatakana ikuja empower the community about farming sugarcane na to empower even the youth. You know, if we engage these youth, they'll not even have time to create issues and stories.
Stakeholders say proper implementation and regulation will boost farmer earnings and drive Kenya towards sugar self-sufficiency. Cynthia, KUTV.
The ongoing Kenya Secondary School Sports Association National Games 2026 that were held in Thika, Kiambu County in M-Pesa Foundation Academy, Kakamega High School have managed to kick out St. Mary's Yala in a mouth-watering that concluded in a 3-2 victory. His victory has managed the Green Commandos to advance to East Africa to represent Kenya at FESA in Tanzania. In the girls' football, St. Joseph girls have pulled through to the Tanzania following a tremendous penalty shootout against Nyakach girls from Nyanza region. Additional in the volleyball, Chesamis girls have also secured their very first national titles as they head to Tanzania. And Kenya Commercial Bank have appointed a new assistant head coach known as Peter Okidi from Mombasa United. Okidi has set his sight on writing a new club chapter by delivering silverwares after the club suffering years of underwhelming performances. KCB finished 7th last season in the Kenya Premier League, earning 48 points from 34 matches. All eyes now at KCB performances following this new signing ahead of the new season on the 22nd of August. Well, that is all we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us here at KUTV Primetime News. Many thanks to everyone that made this bulletin a success, from my producer Yvonne Kamuma, my director Perpetual, those who were aiding her on the TX, on cameras, on digital, just everyone. Not forgetting Mutava Mungeli, who has been helping out with the sign language interpretation. My name is Ochieng Cynthia. Do have a lovely night.